A potential mechanism for low-dose Abilify in ME/CFS, exploring the dopamine ACOD1 axis and the Itaconate Shunt. The problem, the ME/CFS energy deficit. The Itaconate Shunt theory of ME/CFS suggests a metabolic dysfunction where the body is stuck in a defensive state post-infection that prevents cells from producing enough energy. This involves a metabolic pathway called the Itaconate Shunt, driven by the enzyme Itaconate decarboxylase 1. When overactive, which may be happening in ME/CFS, this shunt can deplete cellular energy resources. A 2025 paper in Science Advances investigates how the body regulates ACOD1. Key finding, the neurotransmitter dopamine acts as a powerful inhibitor of ACOD1 expression in immune cells. Mechanism, dopamine activates the dopamine receptor D2 on immune cells. This interaction disrupts a signaling cascade that would normally trigger ACOD1 production in response to inflammatory signals like bacterial lipopolysaccharides. The role of BH4 in this dynamic. A vicious cycle may link inflammation, energy metabolism, and brain function. The shunt causes stress. The Itaconate shunt in immune cells creates massive oxidative stress. Stress depletes BH4. This oxidative stress burns through the body's supply of BH4, a critical antioxidant. Low BH4 means low dopamine. BH4 is essential for making dopamine. Without it, dopamine levels plummet. Low dopamine locks in the shunt. Dopamine is the natural off switch for the shunt. When dopamine is low, this brake is removed, locking the shunt on and perpetuating the cycle. A potential neuroimmune mechanism of Abilify. The problem, in ME/CFS, a persistent inflammatory state or low dopamine leads to high ACOD1 and a runaway Itaconate shunt, draining energy. The intervention, low-dose aripiprazole, acts as a partial D2 agonist. The proposed effect, this gentle stimulation of D2 suppresses ACOD1 production, turning down the Itaconate shunt and helping to restore normal cellular energy metabolism. Supporting evidence from this paper. The study found that high-dose Abilify, when used as a dopamine antagonist in septic mice, worsened outcomes. This supports the idea that blocking the D2 receptor is detrimental when ACOD1 is overactive. Conversely, a dopamine agonist, pramipexole, was protective in septic mice, reducing ACOD1 and improving survival. In human sepsis patients, lower dopamine levels correlated with higher ACOD1 expression and worse outcomes. This demonstrates that the dopamine D2 ACOD1 axis is a critical pathway in regulating the immune response. Why low-dose aripiprazole could lose effectiveness for ME/CFS over time. The core problem, the brain adapts to chronic stimulation. The brain naturally tries to maintain balance. Constant stimulation of the D2 receptor can cause it to turn down the volume on the signal over months or years. How it happens? Two key mechanisms. Receptor downregulation. The brain reduces the number of available D2 receptors on the cell surface. Analogy, closing checkout lanes at a busy store. Receptor desensitization. The remaining receptors become less responsive to the drug. Analogy, the cashiers get tired and work more slowly. How it happens. Two key mechanisms. Key takeaways and clinical implications. A known phenomenon, this poop-out effect is well documented with other long-term dopamine drugs and antidepressants. Potential strategies. Management may involve careful monitoring, dose adjustments, or planned drug holidays to restore receptor sensitivity. Some ME/CFS patients have reported that low-dose Abilify has lost effectiveness for them but after 3 or 4 months off the medication, it regains effectiveness when started again. Summary and future directions. The Wang et al. 2025 paper provides a plausible biological mechanism for the anecdotal success of low-dose Abilify in ME/CFS by linking dopamine signaling directly to the regulation of ACOD1. The theory hinges on Abilify's dose-dependent effect, acting as a partial agonist at low doses to suppress the Itaconate Shunt. This is currently a hypothesis. Next steps. Research is needed to directly test the mechanism in ME/CFS patients, measuring ACOD1 itaconate levels before and after the treatment with low-dose Abilify. References and disclaimer. This presentation is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. The use of aripiprazole for ME/CFS is off-label. Consult a qualified healthcare professional for any medical concerns.